Hey y'all, welcome back for another episode of Candy Coated Shenanigans, Sour Patch Kid Edition, the only way I know how to be. Thank you for joining me again today. We are going to talk about make money make sense. We are going to really get into something that affects all of us. So I'm excited for this week's topic. This is just like the perfect way to start the day. I wanted to do a couple of follow-ups before I dive into this week's topic, which was originally not the topic, but I think it's important that we go over this. So, as expressed in the last episode, I was going to start some type of fitness journey. I started it. And I'm working through sticking to everything, but I am down a couple of pounds. Woo, woo, woo. For me, every day is one day closer to me being on a beach. So I am getting it together. Y'all see my skin today? Sorry. It looked nice from a distance, but I'm working out. I'm going through a little something with that. But anyways, thank you for tuning in to Candy Coated Shenanigans. As I expressed, this week is Make Money Make Sense, financial areas. Originally, I was going to talk about setting goals, which I thought was great because we are now in the second quarter of the year. But then I kind of remember what we are approaching, which is tax filing day. And it made me think of all the things that I have had pop up in discussions, whether with friends, clients, things I've dealt with personally when it comes to my taxes. And I figured, why not take like 5 minutes, give y'all a couple of tips and tricks to understand some of the things that are occurring to hopefully put you in a situation where you're not owing money when it's time to file your taxes. Let me rewind a little bit. First of all, for the longest time, even though my background is accounting, taxes was not my thing. I get through it well now, but taxes was not my thing back in the day. For the longest time, I just thought rich people paid money, right? I didn't think, or like married people, because when you put their income together, maybe it like bumps them into something else that's not known, that type of thing. But then I started having conversations with like normal people, and I'm not going to say broke people because I don't consider them broke, but just like normal income level, right? Not, making six figures. Okay. Normal income levels. And I started hearing all these stories like, I got to pay money back. I owe this, I owe that. And I'm like, how in the hell do you owe money? Like, what y'all be doing? Like, how you owe money? So, until I got into my first time of having to pay the state and federal government when it came to taxes. And I had thought they had lost their rabbit mind. And then I started connecting some of the dots. So, number one, let me tell you this. If you have more than one job and you are not getting any extra money taken out, like you haven't changed your withholdings, you haven't done any of that, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna owe somebody. Maybe it's only $10, maybe it's a hell of a lot more. And the reason why I say that is because when your employer is putting your information in for a payroll, they only know the salary you're making with them. So if perfect example, I'll give you, I teach at Niagara University. I teach an administrative certification course, and I get a couple $1,000s from them. They tax me at a lower tax rate because I only make a couple $1,000s. They don't know what my income is at my other job, whereas my other job is taxing me at a higher tax rate because they know what I make per them, but they still don't know that, hey, I have this extra couple thousand coming in from Niagara University. Now, based on my income, I'm already in a tax bracket and I'm probably gonna be there for a little bit. Like, I'm not really worried about like this fluctuation, and I don't make enough at Niagara University that when everything is compiled together, that it's going to knock me out of whack. Like, it's just, that's not what happens for me. But that may be what is happening for some of you. It has been that case for me before. I switched jobs. I went from one school district to the next school district. And in the midst of me doing that, my salary had a nice jump. So that was great. But the part that hit hard was when I was at the one job, I was in a different tax bracket. And now I'm in this new job and I'm in a different tax bracket. So when they compiled the money at the end of the year, I owed money. And I vowed that I would never be in a situation where I owe money again. I was like, hell no, screw y'all. What can I do to not pay you anything? Like, I feel like do it correctly the first time. I don't want to pay you anything. Why do I owe you money? So now I'm going to go into some of the things I did to now be in a position where I usually get a check back, break even or check back, usually check back. And you can do the same thing. Now, does it take a little research and looking into things? Yes. But I think looking into it now is a heck of a lot better than somebody telling me, oh, you owe us $3,000. You owe us $500. And you're looking like, where am I supposed to get this money to pay you? Because I don't know where some people are getting this money to pay it back, but teach their own. But I'm going to tell you a couple of things that worked for me that hopefully work for you, or do some research and you'll find the things that do work for you. Number one, I put money into a 403B. Now, if you've never heard of a 403B, it's like a 401k, but I'm in the world of education, so we have 403Bs. So I put money in a 403B. You may have the opportunity to put money in a 401k. You also might have the opportunity for your employer to match it. Check with your company. It's a way to get extra money. I'm just saying, for retirement. But anyways, both of these are pre-tax contributions. And what it means when it's pre-tax is it lowers your taxable income. So right off the rip, me putting this money in a 403B is lowering my taxable income, right? Like, okay, that might knock you into a lower tax bracket. You don't know. Do some math, do some calculations, but it will lower your taxable income. So that's a benefit. The money that you're setting aside is for retirement. So not only have you lowered your taxable income, you are saving for your future, usually in accounts that allow for your money to grow, right? So my income is lower. Woo woo. I owe y'all less money. My money is being put into a retirement account, so I'm saving for my future. And if you start doing it early enough and you compile, I can be making money on my money as it sits there. I ain't even got to do nothing. Just put the money there. Go ahead, take the money out. Take the money out. Take the money. Make money on your money. I'm just saying. And then another thing, and this is where people sometimes struggle, is I might say, okay, put $150 into a 401k. Oh, now I don't got $150 and I needed that money for blah, 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 blah. Let's rewind. It's pre-tax. So before all your tax numbers hit, all those percentages that have to go places, this money is taken out. So $150 is not even really $150 after tax. It's less than that. So it's a bigger benefit to you to do it. So you put more money away, lowers your taxable income, and the hit is not the same because it was pre-tax anyway. So if I take out $150 and they start taking out their percentages, I'm still getting a nice chunk of money. And maybe it's not 150 for you. Maybe you start out at 50 or 75. Being honest, we're not going to be able to count on the government to really be like, oh yeah, you're going to get this money when you retire. People are living a long time, and I'm not going to hold you. I don't trust the government all like that when it comes to what these calculations really mean and am I getting all my money and stuff like that. So I would prefer for me to be in control of my funds when I need them, how I need them, why I need them over anybody else. I'm just saying. So that was definitely one way that helped in reference to me owing state and federal funds. Another thing for me that I did is there, and I don't have the website, I'll put it in the link below. There is a way to look, so you take roughly what your salary is and you run it through a calculation to figure out if you should do more state and federal withholdings. And what that means is you might claim, if you are a single like I am, you should be claiming 0 or 1. Okay? Stop tampering with your exemption numbers. Like, stop messing with that. Sometimes people go in and they change it to 5 so they can get more money. You forget to change that back. You are going to owe money. Okay? Stop tampering with these numbers, especially if you don't have somebody as a financial advisor or an accountant that is helping you through the process. I'm just going to say that. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. And if we're saving our money all year long, like we have talked about, you won't need to do things like that right before Christmas or right before birthdays, because the money will already be there. So let's make smarter decisions throughout the year instead of relying on a decision like that and then you owe money, because that makes no sense to me. Owing money when you don't have to makes no sense. There are situations and cases where people have multiple businesses, they have multiple homes, they have all these different tax forms they're filing. So yes, they may owe something, but just like the average person, there's so many ways to get around having to pay in the end. You just have to do the upfront work. So as I was expressing, there's a calculation. You can basically put all your information in and it will tell you how much in additional state and federal withholdings you should do. I do that. I do additional money and I get money back every year. I do additional money because I know there are multiple factors that are going to be taken into consideration. I am not always a standard deduction. Sometimes I'm an itemized deduction depending on my contributions for things, what my expenses were in different areas. All those different things can play into part. So it's kind of like I'm setting myself up for worst case scenario, and when best case scenario comes, they send me my checks. Well, direct deposit my checks. So that is something else that I would advise people to do to assist you. Now, when I first started this, I talked about how people find themselves in places where they owe money, and I was a little bit confused, like, you're just like the average Joe Schmo, like, how are you owing funds? One thing that I have seen that is huge is in the world of collections, you get bonus checks. Now, I'm not going to say places is janky. I'm just going to tell you to look over your information. If on your bonus check, you are not seeing state and federal taxes taken out, you're going to owe money. Okay? Like, there is no if, ands, or buts about it. So when you're getting these checks, you need to look over your information. Some people work for collections for people that are like small businesses and they run and do their own payroll. You want to look over all your information and make sure all of your tax information is correct, all these different things. Like, they're people. And sometimes people don't know what they're doing. Point blank, period. Technically, your bonuses are not just like normal income. They're supplemental income. Depending on the employer you work for, they have different options on how they want to handle this bonus income. Some people receive it as a separate check. Some people receive it with their normal paycheck. Usually if you're receiving it with your normal paycheck, there are certain taxes and things being taken out. If it is a separate check and being done properly, it should be taxed at actually a higher rate. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't think all those things are happening, number one. And number two, what you have to remember is if it's a bonus check, it is not considered normal income. And if it's not considered normal income, it does not always mean you're going to get bumped into a higher tax bracket. So if you're receiving large sums of money in bonus checks from your employer every year, but that money is not known and it's not considered normal income, there is a possibility that your overall tax bracket, when everything is filed, could go up. And that's where people get into problems with needing to pay more money, needing to pay back money, needing to go on payment plans, all those different type of things. So I'm not going to say everybody is not taxing you. Some people are not. That's just point blank, period. I'm not going to get into that. I'll just tell you. And people talk about it. People will talk about how they don't see the taxes coming out on their paychecks, all these different things. And if you're not seeing it right there on your pay stub, the taxes came out, then 9 times out of 10, they didn't. And that's where you get into things where like, okay, if I know I'm getting a bonus check, can I do a higher withholding? Because I know you're not going to take this out, which it looks beautiful getting the money. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love getting money. I don't get bonus checks. I feel like I need one though. I love getting money, but if in the end that money, and I'm going to spend it, is going to mean I'm going to owe a couple thousand and need to go on payment plans and all this other stuff, then it's not worth it. So ask the question, and you can ask your employer, how does this work? How do you handle this in a payroll aspect? Do not be afraid to ask people questions, because in the end, when you file, that's your tax paperwork and documentation. You're the person that's going to have to go on a plan, or you're the person that your wages is going to be garnished because your employer is not doing certain things that they need to do, or you didn't have a proper understanding of what it was they were doing. So do not be afraid to ask the questions. And my last tip is, if you are an LLC or you have a DBA for your business, track all of your business expenses. I have seen some not so great things occur in reference to audits happening with the IRS and people not being able to supply the proper documentation, and you not being able to count that in your tax information. It's as simple as that. If you're in an audit and they ask you to supply something and you can't, swoop. All right, well, this does not apply. And they have deadline dates and want you to collect things. So when you get receipts, do something like QuickBooks Online, right? You can literally put the app on your phone. So as receipts, as you're buying things and you have receipts, you can scan the receipt in, and then it's in an electronic place that you don't have to worry about it anymore. Another thing to be mindful of is we like to Venmo and Cash App and all these other things. That can get sticky, people. I'm not going to say they're not going to accept your information. I'm going to tell you that it might be very difficult to convince them that that is really what it is. So you want to find legitimate ways to receive payment for things like PayPal, get a business account, all those different things, so you have a way of better tracking your money that's coming in and going out. So if you ever get audited, you can just be like, boop, 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 print your paperwork and submit it to them. You do not want to be trying to backtrack and build the record. Build the record in the beginning as you're doing it, and submit your documentation if you're ever in an audit. It's as simple as that. And I've been audited, not for business purposes as of yet, but I have been audited as an individual. And I keep all my documentations to quickly give them information. And just so you're aware, things that kind of trigger sometimes an audit, these are not the only things, but these are some things that I've seen trigger an audit. When you have moved and it's a new address, then they might be like, let us just clarify. When you've had multiple jobs in 1 year, right? If they can look back and you've steadily been at the same place, and then all of a sudden you got boom, 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 boom coming in, they might audit you. When you are adding multiple businesses, if that's what you're doing, There's certain things that just trigger it up. If somebody else is filing your stuff, so if you continuously change your filer, or you've had the same filer for a long time and then it switches over. And it's not to say these are all like, every time you do one of these things, it's gonna happen. I've done 2 businesses and it has not triggered an audit for me personally. I've seen other people head on a new business the next year and be like, girl, I'm getting audited. And if you are filing for yourself, and then you get audited, a lot of times it becomes difficult to work with an accountant from that standpoint because you filed yourself. So kind of make sure you know what you're doing as you're doing your filings, especially when you have a business, because if things pop up, you may need assistance. But if you are properly tracking your information, it should be a breeze. You should be able to supply the information they need. They'll correspond with you and you'll move forward. But I hope all of these things help you as we are, filing and finishing up for one tax year and we are in a new one. Look your information over. I dare you to go on here and see if you should be withholding more money. I dare you to ask your employer what they do pertaining to bonus checks, and also what tax bracket you're in. Like, if you don't know, ask. Send an email. That's what they're there for. They get paid just like you getting paid. Ask questions. Collect as much information as possible and prepare yourself. And it may also be a situation where you need to set $15, $20 aside every paycheck to pay back what you know is going to happen. A lot of us get into this repetitive component of owing money. If you know every year you owe money, every year, no matter the adjustments you're making, like you're still confused and you owe money, put money aside. That way you are in a good financial position to pay it and move forward, right? Like, I mean, you can go on a payment plan if you want to, but you could follow my way too. And then you just be good. I don't like owing people money. Like, I'm just real weird about it. Even when you do these things for like the phone and they be like, oh, you can pay this, I'd be like, give me my little discount or whatever and I'm gonna pay y'all out. I like my stuff. I like to own my stuff. I don't like owing people things. But hopefully these tips and tricks help you. Hopefully you learned something new here today. Next week is Dating Chronicles. And I'm going to let y'all know what the topic is because I never remember them off the top of my head. And in Dating Chronicles for next week, love language. Guess I got to figure that out a bit. But I'll see you next week. Enjoy your week and, make the best out of your current situation. And let's make our current situations better financially. I'm just saying. I mean, all around better, but definitely my money. All right. Bye.